The powers that be and the mainstream media have learned how to master an incredibly effective trick to keep the American people from paying attention and seeing what's really going on in our modern bread and circuses world, where the news cycle changes so fast from one idea to the next. It is very difficult for a lot of folks to take notes and keep track of the entire story. Well, I will thank my time in the military and being from Gen X when we actually had to write things down for being able to see what's really happening here. Now, I know a lot of folks are like, Florida Maquis, this whole sham trial is about election interference. It's more than that. It's much more than that. You see, the story has changed right before your eyes, and nobody has even seen it. Now, it has to do with the goddess Neerti. Now, I'm sure a lot of folks are like, wait a minute. We've heard that name referenced with other things happening around CERN, but not in the context of what's going on. How can you tie these two things together? Well, we're going to do it in today's video. And this is what happens when you take notes. We teach psychological operations identification over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. It's only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. And as always, fully and completely refundable, the $1, first 90 days, 3 months, no questions asked. Go to the channel, sign up, pledge the $1. Hundreds and hundreds of videos you can have access to and take the training. And if something happens financially, or there's an issue where maybe some of the content isn't for you, first 90 days, say, hey, Florida Maquis, I gave you a shot. I did. I was, honest enough to say, I'm going to go take a look. It's just not for me. Can I have my $1 back? Absolutely. Not a problem. Or whatever you would pledge. Not a problem. Now let's get right to it. All over the news today, we have seen so many right-wing pundits come out and talk about sham trial and how this is a joke and this is a bad day for America. And I agree. But what none of them are talking about is that they are primarily and directly responsible for this trial even beginning, because they have conveniently, maybe not in the back of their minds, left out how it really all began. Ready for this? It began with the Me Too movement. You see, this was never supposed to be about business filings that were inflating the value of some property so that you could take out a bigger loan against. No, this was about the evil, terrible, horrible idea of a much older man taking advantage of his position over a much younger woman and getting what he wants. And then, what follows. That's what this was supposed to be about. This was supposed to be about the moral conviction of Donald Trump. They didn't give a damn about the money. They didn't give a damn about the loans. They wanted you, the American people, to believe that he was morally unfit to lead because of his predilection for wanting to be around younger women as he got older. Now, you ready for this? You see, it wouldn't have worked in the 90s. Why? Because Clinton was young and handsome. The morality didn't matter. It's a modern world. These things happen. We need to really pay attention to what's going on in the economy. We just did a video about this. I guarantee if this had happened back in the Kennedy's era, you wouldn't have heard of a Democrat say a peep about it. Why? Because Kennedy was young and handsome. But I guarantee today, if he had his conservative values like he did back then, and he was a much older man, and he was still dating women who looked like Marilyn Monroe, oh, you bet he would be in the exact same boat Donald Trump would be in. Because he's not young and handsome anymore. Don't you find it strange that when Donald Trump was young and handsome and politically involved and politically connected, he was a Democrat living in New York and they had absolutely no problem with his philandering and his Playboy lifestyle. He appeared on the cover of Playboy. And no, that's not photoshopped. That's how he met Karen McDougal. There's pictures of him with Hugh Hefner. And that was all fine. All great and fine. All spectacular. Until he got to a certain age. And then all of a sudden, the Me Too movement decided, wait a minute, this isn't right. These billionaires, why are they still dating younger women? That's just not right. We need to do something about that. See, but what do we know the true story is about much older men and much younger women? Guys, now come on, let's be honest. They're not hanging around us, and I don't mean us, like I'm some kind of a rich man. Younger women, when they see a guy, there is another calculation going on. I'm not some billionaire. There's another, just a different calculation. It's just something you have to accept when you get to a certain age. You see, as good as an actress as she was, she couldn't hide the fact that she knew what the score was between her and Weinstein. And they all did to a certain point. Because billionaires don't look like this. Oh, but wait a minute. What if they did? Florida Maquis, you have totally lost your mind. There is no way at 85 years old you're ever going to... Are you sure? Are you sure? You see, that would kind of mess up the calculation, the younger woman marrying the much older rich man thing. Because a guy like this, you look at, ladies, those who are the predatory types, and say, gosh, doesn't look like he's going to kick off anytime soon. He's got a lot of money, but I'm not going to be not around him for a long time. I'm not going to be on my own. Now, keep these thoughts together. Keep all of these thoughts together. Remember, if you're young and strong and handsome, it doesn't matter if you philander around a little bit, even if you're married. If you have the right belief system, doesn't matter. Now, here's the story that nobody's putting the connection together with. Weight loss drugs wrinkle economies worldwide. GLP-1s, such as type 2 diabetes, therapies, Ozempic and Mounjaro. How many remember me talking about this a few days ago? Maybe a week ago now. And weight loss drugs are expected to bulk up the U.S. economy as more Americans shed pounds. Over the next 4 years or so, Goldman Sachs analysts predict GLP-1s will boost the U.S. economy by $1 trillion. The anti-obesity drug market could reach $100 billion by 2030, 16 times more than its current worth. Now, this is all over the place. Now, here's where a lot of folks are going to lose this train of thought. You would have to be a Stargate kind of geek to remember a very obscure episode that happened in the series. This channel has talked about Stargate a lot. But there was a fictional, well, it's not a fictional story, goddess, Goa'uld, named Nerti. And her whole take, and she's of course based on the actual god, little g, believed in, and by actual I just mean in reality, not in Hollywood. There is a god known as Nerti, worshipped by the Indians, Hindus. Now stick with me. Her whole mission in the series was to capture people of a certain genetic background and then inject them with things to try to enhance their abilities, make them bigger, stronger, faster, and smarter. That was her whole goal, was to do medical experiments on humans so that, and as we know, the Goa'uld inhabited humans. They were parasites that lived off of human beings. So that when they took over a new human host, that human host could live longer, healthier lives, stronger lives. That was already what was being offered by them anyway. But it was even better. What's happening now with the Ozempic market, and before here's a couple of her experiments, how they turned out, by the way. Actress Jacqueline Zamuda did an absolutely fantastic job playing this character Now, that's the reality. You see, these demons, and they call themselves gods and goddesses, that are currently inhabiting the evil ones, Hollywood, powers that be, they have no use for the frail state of the human experience. You see, what offends them is the overweightness and the age. They want the money, and they want the power, and they want everything that it brings with it. But they also want the eternal youth, the eternal attractiveness. And that's what you're seeing here. You see, the Me Too's have to be beside themselves now. And this is the point. The Me Too's literally have to be unbelievably angry and besides themselves, because it was supposed to be the idea that Donald Trump got nailed to some crucifix of immorality. And that's why nobody was going to follow him and nobody was going to vote for him. Not because they couldn't, because he was a convicted felon. That isn't what they wanted. What they wanted was nobody to want to, because he was old and because he was fat and because he still had money, and that he, could take that money and he could leverage it into a roll in the hay with a top flight porn star like Stormy Daniels. That's what ticked him off. That's what made him mad. And they forget about this. See, now they're talking about, it's injustice, election interference, and Biden's all this, that, and the other. The only reason they're upset with Biden, the only reason these people are upset with Biden is because he has become between them and their money. Because the economy is in a state of shit right now. That's why they're upset with him, with Biden. That's it. And now that they haven't gotten their morality moment, you watch. You watch how fast they turn on this. I know everybody thinks it's a different game. It's no more complicated than that. Because Kennedy got away with it and nobody cared. Clinton got away with it and nobody cared. And if you're young and you're handsome and you have the right belief systems, you can do whatever you want to do. Say whatever you want to say and you'll get away with it. But if you're an older guy, maybe you're not so much in shape anymore, but you still got money and somebody wants it, guess what? You're not going to get the pass. You're not going to get the free pass. And nobody is seeing this. The people who are angry about this now are not angry for the reasons that normal Americans are. You see, normal Americans are trying to survive. And at this point, morality, I'm going to say it again, morality is a luxury. And for these people who have, tens, not hundreds of millions of dollars in wealth, they don't get it. They don't get it. You see, some of them are starting to suffer a little bit because their royalty payments are going down on this movie or that series or this other thing, because the ad rates have gone down. That kind of ties it to YouTube a little bit. How many of you have noticed a sea change in your feed on YouTube? A complete change in the videos that you're seeing, tinier channels, things you've never even looked into, all of this kind of stuff. What the hell is this? Why is this in my feed? Kind of stuff. Because right now, YouTube is trying to sell as many ads as they can, and they can't compete because of advertiser flight. And so they're pushing ads onto channels that aren't monetized so they can make more money, and that's screwing with their algorithm. So who remembers? Who remembers when it was about, we're going to convince the American people you're too immoral to be voted for? And how now that's backfired. And now when you bring up money, you can't even say Joe Biden is the answer. You can talk about Trump's policies all you want. Joe Biden's financially far worse. Americans are just absolutely at their wits' end when it comes to money. And that proves. That's proven my point I have been trying to make on this channel for 3 years. When I talk about OnlyFans and I talk about all this kind of stuff that puts so many people off. In this country, when it comes down to money or morality, money will win every time, 100 times out of 100. If you don't think so, go ahead and see what happens in November. This guy's going to win it running away. He's farther ahead now than he was before the convictions. Because it backfired. It backfired on him. See, there's a kind of a dirty little secret in Hollywood about this particular Me Too actress. She's not like the others. She kind of has a thing that trips her trigger for older guys. Before this guy, it was Nicholson. But Nicholson wised up and got rid of that. So, anyway. But ask your lady friends. Ask them, especially those that are 35 guys out there, for 35, 45, 55 years old. If they ran into a billionaire that had money, but he looked like this, meaning, he had lost the weight and he was super healthy and was a much better slave for the tax system. And he wasn't going to go anywhere for 20, 30, 40 years. Would he be as attractive to them as a billionaire they knew was going to die in the next 10? Because of poor choices. Boosted GDP. Some people think, oh, look, the weight loss drug that's helping everybody because they want people to be healthier. They want better tax slaves. They want tax slaves that live longer so that they can, guess what? They can raise the retirement age. 17 minutes in, people are like, oh, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, sure. If people get healthier and they lose the weight, they're going to be stronger and more productive later into life. The whole idea of retiring was, well, when they set 65, that was kind of when people stopped being productive. Well, now they're just going to be able to raise the retirement age to 85 or 90 because of the weight loss and the health benefits. Which is exactly what happened in Stargate. It's exactly what they were experimenting on people to do. You see, it wasn't good enough that when these demons took over the body, that the body could live for 200-300 years. They were going to try to make it live for 500 or 600 years and be 3 times as strong, 10 times as smart. Kind of funny, predictive programming, isn't it? So, Jacqueline Zamuda. Well done. Incredibly memorable episodes from Stargate that are now playing themselves out in real life. So I will leave it there. Also, great job to the makeup guys on this and the costume. One of the things that Stargate did really well was the costumes. If nothing else, going back as far as it was way back into the 30 years ago. Go check out the costumes, and they didn't really have much CGI back then. But the makeup and the costumes in that series were absolutely spectacular. So I will leave it there. God bless all of you. Thank you so much for signing up to Patreon. I very, very much appreciate it. It's making a huge, huge, major difference in my life. First of the month now. Perfect time to sign up. Love to have you at $1 level, $5 level. Whatever God puts on your heart. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.